Welcome to Let's Grow Buffalo, where today we're building a raised garden bed. All right, so today I'm joined by my friends Christine and Matt. What are you guys looking to do?
I'm trying to level up this year and go from being a really casual first-time gardener to taking a little bit more of an approach with some knowledge behind it instead of just throwing some seeds into the ground and hoping for the best, which is what I did last year.
Nothing wrong with that. It's one way to get started. You got to learn somehow, and if you're ready to go a little bit more full bore, then this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, so I think we want to do a raised bed so we can, branch out a little bit more, get some tomatoes, kale, peppers, hopefully some berries, and see where the year takes us.
Cool. All right. So yeah, the nice thing about having a raised bed is that it lets you decide what to grow in. So you could just till the soil here and throw it in the dirt, but you're not always sure what the soil's made of, if it has enough nutrients that you're looking for. So the raised bed really allows you to have control over those things. So yeah, that's nice. It makes it easy to amend from year to year. If you have to till it up, it's a lot easier. There's a lot of different options that you can take with this. So if you have knee problems or back problems and a really low bed is an issue for you, you can always build these up honestly as high as you want to go, as long as you have a sturdy enough material. And then the aesthetics too. It's nice, decorative talking piece at times. You can get really fancy with this, laying some nice stone around it. But we're just going to start with the bare minimum for now, and then we can always improve it from there.
So what do you think about putting the bed here?
So I think this is actually a perfect spot for it. With you having a little bit of a smaller yard here closer to the city, you still want to have a little bit of room in the yard if you wanted to, throw a football around or something. So backing it up against the fence is a good idea. I personally like giving yourself a little bit of a walkway. These beds aren't too big. These ones are only about 3 feet by 6 feet because the materials were cheaper to get. But yeah, it's nice because you'll be able to reach from all sides of the bed to get whatever you need to. I really wouldn't go past 4 by 8 feet, or at least 4 feet in width. Then you're really having to try and reach, and that can be a hassle. But this part of your yard is perfect. You don't really ever notice any water laying back here, right?
No.
No? Okay. So, and it looks nice and level to me, so that's good. You're also close enough, having a smaller yard, that getting the hose out here is not that big of an issue, so that's all good.
So I'm doing some research just because I'm trying to get into this a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
And I saw that there's a couple different ways to do the beds. What do you think the best option is?
So as far as cost effectiveness is concerned, I do like wood. There's 2 main types of wood that people deal with in raised gardens. One is cedar, which is just an example of a rot-resistant wood. There's a few other types, but that's the most common to find in this area. Pine is another option, but unfortunately, if it's untreated, then it can rot away. So if you're looking for lifespan, you would definitely want to go with an all cedar type of bed, which might get you, if you're lucky, 10 years, and pine might give you closer to 5 years, depending on the scenario. So the most cost-effective option that I found for you here is actually making the sides out of cedar, and then I tried to get some extra thick posts here for the corner that are made out of pine. Now, I'm not a fan of treated lumber. Back in the day, it used to contain a lot of chemicals that could leach into the soil, predominantly arsenic, and that's the last thing that you want to be absorbed into your food and be eating. Like I said, they have changed the material or the chemicals that they use to treat the wood now, so it could be safe, but the research is a little limited at this time. So do that at your own risk, but yeah, we're just going to stick with pine and cedar here.
Do you think this will work for our climate here in Buffalo?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it is a relatively wet climate. We're not talking Arizona or anything, but this will definitely get you by for several seasons, no problem. I've got a cedar bed at home that's 3 years old and isn't really showing much wear and tear yet. So another couple options that you could at least think about in the future would be composite, so more of a plasticky based walls and bed to it. That's fine. It gets the job done too. Galvanized metal beds are the beautiful fancy ones that you'll see on a lot of growing channels. People build them up waist high, and they're really easy to access, and the galvanized metal, I think it's covered with zinc. It's resistant, so it's not going to rust. It'll last essentially forever, which on the one hand is good if you know you're going to do this forever, but if maybe this is a couple year experiment and you want to get rid of it, the wood's a lot easier to manage than the metal. A couple of things that I would caution the viewers at home about is that I'm personally not crazy about using things like cinder blocks. They actually can raise the pH of the soil because of the lime that's contained in them, and a lot of plants that you need to grow need to actually be slightly acidic as opposed to slightly alkaline. There's tons of different things you can grow, and the last one I'm going to caution against is tires. Those aren't good enough for landfill. They're not good enough to be growing your food in. So yeah, so we're going to get started putting this bed together. All right, so what we're doing here is I'm laying out the bed, marking the border with the flathead shovel, and then pulling the rest of the wood away and basically just flipping these like a bunch of pancakes. Use the flathead shovel to get underneath the dirt, flip it over, and put the grass blades face down. Essentially that's going to kill the grass, kill even some of the weeds that are in there. The bed that we're going to be building is only about 11 inches tall, and a lot of the roots of the plants go 12 inches, sometimes even deeper than that. So this is an easy way to get this problem taken care of, but not the easiest. Some people like to lay down cardboard, but sometimes I'm worried about that potentially retaining too much moisture and not breaking down fast enough, cutting off the roots to the deeper soils they need. As far as the bed's concerned, the sides are made of cedar fence posts, which I was able to buy a 6 foot long piece for about $3 at the local big box store. And then I cut them in half to make the ends. And all I'm doing is attaching it to this 4x4 Douglas fir, which is actually, it's pine, so it's going to break down faster than the cedar, but I'm kind of hoping with the size of it, it's going to last longer than expected. And then all I'm doing is using some wood glue and exterior decking screws to hold it all together. All right, Christine, Matt, bed's all done. What do you think?
Looks good.
Awesome. All right, so we're still a little bit early here in the season in Buffalo. With it being mid-March, you don't necessarily have to put any soil in right away. You still have probably another month before you start putting anything out here. A couple things to keep in mind: if you want to, you can lay down some cardboard on the inside of this. There's still a few little gaps, so maybe even a little bit of topsoil to level out the sides would be useful. Eventually, once you start filling it with the dirt, if you start to notice the sides bowing out too much, you can always put some stakes in just vertically at the sides here to help keep them stabilized. Just make sure there's no electric or gas lines underneath there. Outside of that, yeah, I think it looks great. So as always, the best thing you can do to help the channel is like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget that gardening is a practice, and let's grow Buffalo.